Yo, what's up? MKBHD here, and welcome to What's on My Phone 2026, maybe by the time you're watching this. So, last time I did this, it's been a minute. A Samsung phone was my daily driver. Dark Sky was one of my favorite apps. That doesn't exist anymore, RIP. And, year to year, my phone setup doesn't change that much, but over the 5 years it's been since I last did this, well, there's some added change over time. So, this is my new daily setups. Now, a lot of you already know I've been a two-phone person for a long time now. So yes, 2 SIM cards, 2 lines, 2 phone numbers. And as long as I've had 2 phones, it's always been 1 Android phone and 1 iPhone. And a lot of people always ask me, and maybe don't even know, the main phone is the Android phone, and that's the phone number that people have, and that's the one I mainly use, and then the second one is the iPhone. And so the setup that I've been teetering on, that I almost settled on for a little bit, was gonna be OnePlus 15 and iPhone Air. And the reason for that is I get to test, obviously, a lot of phones during the course of the year. But in between testing phones, I will go back to a daily driver that I can sort of rely on. And so among all the stuff that I've tested this year, the phones that I've gone back to the most have been Galaxy S25 Ultra, then Pixel 10 Pro, and now this OnePlus 15. Now, if you watch my review of this phone, you already know how much I like most of the things about it. And it has great battery life, and it's awesome performance, and all that good stuff. And so because the iPhone is the secondary phone most of the time, it could get away with not having the best battery life. So iPhone Air, which is actually a really nice phone aside from the battery life, was kind of a perfect pair from it. But unfortunately, the 2 phones that I was using at the same time, both having pretty subpar cameras to me was kind of the deal breaker. So I have actually mostly been sticking to the iPhone 17 Pro in orange and not the Max. So this is the 2 phones. This is the OnePlus 15 and the iPhone 17 Pro. So let's start with the OnePlus 15, and this is my lock screen. Pretty minimal. I've got the flashlight and Gemini shortcut set up at the bottom. And then the home screen is pretty stark. I think basically my dock has been almost unchanged for the last decade, but the apps that I mainly use at the bottom for me here are TickTick, which is my tasks app, Spotify, Google Messages, and then the phone app. I really don't make that many phone calls, but for whatever reason it feels weird not having the phone app down there, so it's always there. And then I have Relay for Reddit, which is a paid app. There's not that many good Reddit apps anymore, for obvious reasons, but I do pay the $5 a month for this one. The OnePlus Photos app, which is actually really good. It syncs with Google Photos, which is huge. That's why I don't use the Google Photos app here. YouTube Studio app, and Notion. Notion is the one that we use at the studio for keeping track of everything, but it also feels like the one that I could most easily replace because I mostly engage with it through notifications. Like that could be Slack or that could be Discord or something else over there, but most of those apps I don't launch from my home screen, I get to with notifications. But yeah, other than that, Google search widget and then a bunch of blank. So then my second page has a calendar widget up top. I'll try to link the third-party apps that aren't like super obvious here. So that this calendar widget I've used for a long time. And then underneath it, I have the social media apps and these tools that I use fairly often. So you've got Waze, you've got the ChatGPT app, the Google Home app, which is really nice because it used to actually be kind of split between Home and Nest, but they finally updated everything to work in the Home app. And then Threads and X, and I actually have the Arc Search here, the Arc browser app, which I no longer use on the desktop because they're kind of not paying attention to it anymore, but it is still kind of useful to have mobile sync from the couple of spaces I have set up. So it's not my default browser, but it lives there on my home screen to access those things. Also, just a quick mention, because I don't know why they don't do it yet. This is a scrollable widget for scrolling through different days on my calendar. Why can't you do that on the iPhone yet? They've had widgets for a couple years now. None of them scroll. Let us scroll. Anyway, the last page, I basically just have a couple of random apps of the moment, things that I may be using, like United Airlines because I was just flying. I use the Raindrop.io app to save links, and I use that because the Pocket app also died this year. I used to use Pocket all the time for this, and there's a Pocket extension in Chrome and all this stuff, and now it's gone. So I use Raindrop.io for the exact same thing. And then Google Keep, because that's where it automatically adds stuff to your shopping list when you ask Google to add to my shopping list. It puts it in Keep for some reason, so that's why Keep's there. And Yahoo Fantasy, so I can get crushed in 2 different fantasy leagues at the same time. It's going great. Another couple apps I find useful, Blip is one that I found pretty recently. It's kind of like a nice cross-platform AirDrop and file sharing app, but it's actually more than just AirDrop because it can do it wherever your devices are. So I can blip something to someone across the country if they have an account. It's super useful, file sharing, link sharing, all that stuff, very quick. And I also still use Pocket Casts for all of my podcasts on the go. There's a bunch of different podcast apps, but that's the one I've stuck with. That Spotify for me is really still strictly music. I don't like having them all in one place, weirdly. So yeah, Pocket Casts is my go-to. And then shout out to Oxygen OS for being pretty cleanly, nicely set up that I don't feel like I have to change that many settings. I've got the lock screen the way I want it. I've got my home screen laid out the way I want it. It's not like the Samsung phone days where I was changing a whole bunch of default settings to get it to work the way I thought it should. So it's good stuff. By the way, huge shout out to our brand new merch refresh that's finally launched. It's really soft and comfortable, but also really high quality stuff. The reviews are in, so clearly people are enjoying it. I'll leave a link below if you want to check it out at the brand new mkbhd.com. But now on to my very orange iPhone 17 Pro. Do I regret getting orange? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I wish there was a black one. The thing about like these orange bezels showing around the front, it bothered me a little bit, but I've set up a kind of an orange wallpaper to try to just own the creamsicle thing. So anyway, this is my iPhone 17 Pro. I have also got Gemini on the lock screen because Siri is bad and I never want to use it. And then for those wondering, I do have my liquid glass still on. I haven't toggled it off. I think it looks okay, but I also kind of just want to know what people's default experiences on the iPhone are. So I haven't changed that. I still have liquid glass on. And then my action button, for those wondering, is to start a new task in my task app of choice, TickTick. So I basically live in the TickTick app. It's how I remember to do anything in life. And having the ability to just hold the action button and then just start typing my task and save it, and it throws it in my inbox, super useful. I love that action button feature. And then on my home screen, I kind of just have all of the apps I use mostly just here, all reachable. It's kind of set up in a way that if I hold it in my right hand, everything's reachable. So you've got the photos, you've got Spotify, YouTube and YouTube Studio, and then Waze. Bottom right corner here is a habit tracker, TickTick. Copilot is a finance tracker app, and then Superhuman for email. Carrot over on the left is my new weather app of choice. So you guys might know, Dark Sky was one of the best weather apps of all time, maybe. And essentially what Carrot did was clone the Dark Sky layout that made it so good, but then also give us a whole bunch of customization with other stuff like weather sources, and it's added a bunch of stuff on top. There's a snarky little assistant that describes the weather in English, so it's a pretty good app. I use Carrot Weather most of the time. And then in the dock, of course, I've got the phone app. Again, I don't know why. It feels weird to not have it there, but I also hardly ever call anyone. The Tesla app, Arc browser app, again, just to have the cross-platform thing, but I would change it in a heartbeat, and messages. By the way, the Tesla app, if you're wondering, is not for any Tesla vehicle that I own. It's just for the solar and battery setup at my house. So anytime I open it, I can check to see what's going on in there. But that actually brings us to the second page, which is just 3 widgets. It's Porsche's widget at the top, it's Rivian's widget in the middle, and it's Tesla's widget at the bottom. All of those are like real-time updated with whatever the current numbers or status things are for those 3 setups. And then the next home screen is a larger, not boring weather widget. Really, really pretty app. I don't necessarily love the information density or the accuracy of the information, but it's so pretty that I like just getting a bird's eye view of like a glanceable version of the weather for the week. So really love the widgets. And then underneath this is actually a Siri Smart Stack. So this grid of 8 icons changes based on what it thinks I want to open, and it's learned me very well, I will say. So the apps that show up here are usually what I'm aiming for. And then that last home screen on the right, this is just the apps of the moment again, which is actually some really interesting apps. So this one here is called Newcast. I use Pocket Cast most of the time, but Newcast is one that I found that might replace Pocket Casts for me. It's a really clean layout and just shows me my most recently updated podcasts from all the ones I'm subscribed to. And then another one here is called Athletic. Athletic's really good. I know a lot of people who use Whoops. Whoop is the strap you wear to sort of measure your fitness, and it's got a subscription associated with it and gives you a lot of valuable information, which is super useful. But I wear an Apple Watch, and I don't want to also wear another thing to measure that fitness information. So what Athletic does is takes the information from the Apple Watch and from Apple Health, aggregates it all, and gives me a lot of that same information that the Whoop would. So yeah, it's a subscription, but this gives me my recovery and exertion for the day and stress levels and calories burned and all that, body battery. I like Athletic. I recently found that this year too. So that's another one of my apps of the moment. Anyway, then there are a couple more apps that I have on my iPhone that are specifically either because they are iPhone apps or because they are on a phone that I will have more long term. Just as someone who reviews a lot of phones, if I switch out my phone over and over and over again and I keep like my phone car key on it, it kind of gets annoying to change that so often. So I usually do long-term stuff like that on the iPhone. But there's also a couple others. So my authenticator app is Authy. That's a great iPhone app. And there's another app called Flighty, which is, as someone who's flown quite a bit lately, one of the most useful apps of all time. It basically just pulls the data directly from the source and often notifies me before the airline app would, and then also aggregates a bunch of really cool stats, like how many hours I've lost from delays this year. And then of course I also have Blip on the iPhone as well. Every device that I have Blip installed on can send or receive blips to each other. It's super useful. Anyway, that's basically my app setup. I will say shout out to a studio video where a bunch of people in the studio have also given a lot of their favorite apps, so I'll link that below. Maybe you'll find some other useful stuff there. But as far as the stuff that I use on the regular, on the somewhat daily, it's my OnePlus 15, it's my iPhone 17 Pro, and everything in between. So that of course covers the software I have on my phones, but what you probably didn't notice is I also have a screen protector from channel sponsor Dbrand. I've been using these for like the better part of a year now, and I think they're great. They obviously protect the glass, and they're super easy to install. So if you want to pop one on, maybe it saved your phone from something and cracked and you want to replace it, you kind of just swipe down from the middle, it lines, squeeze the bubbles out, and you're good. So that's what I've been doing. Now you already know what time of year it is, and thanks to Dbrand's Black Friday sale, you can grab a Prism and save 40% when you bundle it with a grip case, 40% when you bundle it with a ghost case, or 25% if you pair it with their all-new super rugged tank case. They've got other legit deals going on right now too. You can save $45 on a kill switch kit, 50% off dark plates, and get this, every order comes with a free set of these ridiculously over-the-top Dbrand custom playing cards, which is pretty crazy. I've been plugging Dbrand stuff for the better part of a decade now, but if you've ever been on the fence about checking out any of this stuff, now would be the time with these crazy discounts. So links will be below. Check it out if you want. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.